All right, man, that rock star lifestyle that you're too much of a square to partake in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know this about you, though, right?
Yep.
You're missing out on, like, I mean, is it like 40% of the business?
The entire reason for living, 60 and probably 80% of the business, if we're going to be honest, yeah.
Is that a detriment? Can you still be a dude if you don't drink?
It's a big detriment. Honestly, I think my career would have taken a completely different trajectory if I partied. If I drank and did drugs, I would probably be in really big companies right now.
How do you keep it together? Yeah, I'm real hungover from the night before, so I got to get loaded now and find equilibrium, or I got to go out and party, but then we're jumping on a plane or a bus or whatever it is. How is that something that people are doing?
It's just built in to performers, I think, and musicians, entertainers, and especially pro wrestlers. Because, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that's what it was, is you make the town, probably a bit of a drive, you wrestle for a really long time. If you're Ric Flair, like 60 minutes, main event, then you go drink all night, you party with all the boys and the women, and then you stay up most of the night, then you maybe get up early, hit the road, get to another town, hit the gym, then wrestle 60 minutes again and do it all over.
Well, if it's Ric Flair, you wake up in the morning, you hit more women.
Yeah.
You have breakfast, women, gym, women, travel, women.
In his E60, it said he'd been over 10,000, and I don't doubt it.
Wow.
Because he was Ric Flair.
Nature Boy? Come
Yep.
on. You know he was.
Yeah, greatest of all time.
So why aren't you just handing out handles? That sounded really stupid coming. Why aren't you handing out bottles to the boys when they come in? Hey, thanks for coming to the show. Here's your crown. Here's your...
The boys in 2019 are a lot different. Our generation's a bit cleaner, a bit more on the straight and narrow, more focused on the wrestling.
All of the boys?
Not all of the boys. A lot of them, though. There are some dudes I booked for my show that started day drinking. My first show I ever ran, actually, two of my buddies, one of them being my mentor, and then my buddy Ed got hammered before the show. Man, I really should have switched the match where it was just them wrestling each other, because both of their matches suffered because of this. Luckily, Ed was wrestling his wife, and they've done the match a million times, and it just made sense, and he didn't have to be sober to do it.
So what you're saying is he's not afraid to hit a woman?
No, he hit her a lot. He's been doing it for like 20 years, hitting this woman, maybe like 12.
Either way.
A lot, but she won. She beat him up more than he beat her up. That always happens, and then the crowd goes home happy. So Ed's not worried about hitting it hard.
There's no way he could beat up a woman and pin her and have that go over.
Oh, no, the crowd would hate that. Yeah, but they'll boo him if he, is a drunk Mexican beating up a cute white girl, and then she wins.
Well, you got to know your market. She better.
Yeah. So, but in my shows, for the most part, people don't drink. They also know I'm not going to want that. But when we do shows, there's usually a bar connected, and dude, if everyone wants to go over there and get trashed after, that's cool. Like, party it up.
What if you get trashed before? That can't be bad.
I prefer you not in my shows. And there have been plenty of shows where I was in there with dudes who got trashed beforehand, and let's be honest, I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to work with you if you're hammered. I have to trust you on some level to not hurt me.
Well, not permanently. I mean, that's fine. You're all right.
Yeah.
You walk that off.
But that does go into the story for today, which is when Scotty Young and I worked a really big show in Indiana a few years back, and we got to work with two former WWE guys, really famous dudes, and they decided they wanted to start partying early.
As they should. I mean, if they're famous.
Yeah, they were super famous, and their two more famous buddies, we'll just call them the Black and White Crew. You could make assumptions. We're signing autographs all day and partying with the fans all day. So Scotty Young and I show up to the show, and someone comes up to us at like 4 p.m. I want to say the show starts at 6, and they're like, hey, like, have you guys seen, we'll call them Paul and Steve. Like, hey, have you seen Steve and Paul yet? I'm like, no, why? I'm like, dude, they are gone. Bad.
Wait, was this stooge who told you that? Were they in any position to talk about the sobriety of two world-renowned, world-famous wrestlers?
I can't remember who told me, but it was like one of my boys, and they were just want to be like, oh, hey, man, like, be careful.
I didn't realize you hung out with narcs. I lost respect.
Well, I mean, I would have figured this out real fast the second I talked to them. They're like, hey, heads up. I was like, okay, well, we still have like 2 hours before wrestle, so whatever. Not happy about it, but I knew the match was going to be. A lot of times when you get booked with like formerly famous people, they don't want to do much anyway. So the fact that these dudes would be plastered already, I was like, yeah, well, we're not going to do any less, I'm sure. Like, it's just going to be a whatever throwaway match, but the crowd will be into it because those dudes are famous.
They're lowering their inhibitions. They want to go hard for you, man. They want to forget their troubles, forget the pain.
You know, if they've been doing it for 20 or 30 years and they do it drunk every night, then I guess I probably don't want to wrestle them sober. That's when they're going to hurt me.
It's logic. It's sound logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So eventually, hour and a half later, something like that, I see Steve and Paul come backstage. And then I see the promoter come up to this fellow, we'll call him Steve. And they just start screaming at each other. And I can barely hear what's going on. But they just start like screaming at each other. I'm like, oh no, that doesn't look good. And I start like kind of like half listening. And I hear Steve say, no, man, you're not paying me to wrestle. Like, you just paid me to come sign autographs. And the promoter is looking super dumbfounded. It's like, I paid you to wrestle, man. Like, I have the texts, I have the emails, I have all that. Like, you have a match. I have a tag team match for you. And he's like, nah, man, screw that. Nah, I'm not here to wrestle. And they go back and forth for a while. And then I'm like, okay. And they just kind of split and walk away. A few minutes later, the right-hand man of the promoter comes up to me and is like, oh, hey, Steve, we're supposed to be on like match number 8. Like, we are on late. Okay. So Stooge comes up to me and he's like, hey, Steve and Paul want to get out of here with their boys so they can keep partying. So you guys are actually going to be on match 4 now. Like, oh, okay.
Right after intermission?
Right before intermission.
Ah, good.
In theory, right before intermission. So like, okay, cool. Scotty and I go into the locker room and we go up to these 2 dudes and we're like, hey guys, you know, we're working together tonight. So, you know, just let us know when you want to talk. Let us know what you want to do. Anything you want to do. Because you just respect the veterans that way. I wish all the young kids in the business knew that now. But, they're like, okay, yeah, come back in 5 minutes when we get our gear on. And then Steve is like, hey guys, I'm sorry. I forgot I was supposed to wrestle tonight. I was really rude to the promoter. So if you heard that, I'm sorry about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, man, that's cool.
Wait, that is kind of cool though. It almost like there was a mutual respect. I don't really care about the promoter, but you're a wrestler. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I don't know. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I wonder if he apologized to the promoter about that.
Why would he?
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the promoters are out to screw us. Let's just be honest. So I was like, oh, okay, man, cool. That's fine. Like, I didn't care. We come back to them like 5 minutes later and they have their gear on. I don't know how they got it on, dude. Like, I don't know how they laced their boots. It was bad. They couldn't set up straight. And like, they were slurring really badly. But luckily, we've watched these guys for years and we know all their moves. There's like nothing they're going to pull out that we haven't seen before. So I'm just ready. At some point, Steve's crotch is going to be in my face and he's going to be bouncing up and down. He's probably going to boot me in the stomach, grab my head, plant it into the mat.
These are things you've dreamed about.
Yeah,
every night as a young boy.
And the other guy, at some point, he's going to give me a super kick and he's going to try and hit me with a kendo stick or something. It's like, okay, that's fine. And the match actually was advertised as a singles match between myself and Paul. So we were talking about just our spot, and then Scotty's going to come out, beat up Paul. It's going to lead to Steve making the save, and then we have like a 5-minute tag match. I'm talking to Paul, and I'm like, all right, man, you know, what do you want to do? And he's like, yeah, man, so yeah, we'll fight for a while, we'll fight all through the stands, and then I'll grab a ladder and I'll put it in the corner, and I'll go to throw you in, but you reverse it, and I'll take the ladder, and then I'll cut my head open and I'll bleed all over the place. And I'm like, oh, dude, you don't have to do that. This show isn't that big. There's like 600 or 700 people there, maybe 8 or 9. But I was like, man, you don't have to do that in front of this crowd. Like, this isn't TV, man. And there's also several other reasons. Like, dude, I don't want you to bleed.
He went to the Ric Flair school of wrestling. Is that what you're getting at?
Dude, I mean, Flair used to bleed like a stuck pig.
Well, I meant with the partying.
The partying. Yeah. So I don't know how he's lived his life. I've heard rumors of maybe how he's lived his life. He might be kind of trashed right now. I don't know what he does. I don't know if he's passed any panels lately. But like, we'll just say testing. I don't know if he's clean. And then, so I'm like, oh man, like, you don't have to bleed. Number 1, because he didn't have to bleed all over the place. Number 2, I didn't want him to bleed on me. Also, I just got new gear. I was like, man, I hope he doesn't get blood on my new gear.
Yeah, I hear gear's cheap anyway. You guys don't actually invest in that.
I wish. So I'm like, okay, man, cool. The 4 of us are discussing the match, and at several points, they get us confused. Like,
you and Scotty look just alike, though. You guys could be brothers.
So 6'1", bearded, tattooed guy versus short, clean-cut blonde dude. And they're like confusing which one we are. And at 1 or 2 points, Scotty's like, actually, man, that's him. And I bump him like, shut up. We know their stuff. Just let them talk about it. We'll figure the rest out. We're going to be fine. Get through it. We'll look out for each other. We're not taking any head drops. They're not picking us up or anything. So we get out of the match, and Paul and I start the match, and we fight all through the crowd. It's a hockey rink, so we're fighting all over the place. And he wanted to do that because he looked at me. He's like, hey, man, you're an athlete. Like, you're obviously like a great athlete. I'm fat now. So like, I can't do that stuff with you. I have to bleed to like, that's what I can do to make it look good and for the crowd to get knowing, nah, man, like, I'm sure you can still go. You just go. It's fine. Nah, man, you're the athlete. I'm fat. I can bleed. Like, I'll do that for you. I was like,
that sounds like a t-shirt. Oh man, I'm fat. I can bleed.
I'm fat. I can bleed. There's a lot of people who subscribe to this theory of this school of thought in professional wrestling. So we're fighting. We eventually get back to the ring. He pulls out the ladder, goes to throw me. I throw him into it instead. And then a second later, as he's getting up from the mat, his face is just covered in blood. And I'm like, oh no, damn, man. I hope I don't have any wounds open. So, but then he comes up to me and grabs my trunks and starts to like try and pull himself to his feet. And I see his head coming up toward my trunks and my crotch. I'm like, please don't touch him. Please don't touch him. Please don't. And he just buries his face in my crotch. Not in a weird way, just he's pulling himself up.
In an artistic way.
We're artists.
He's telling a story.
So he rubs his face like all up the inside of my leg. And I'm just like, oh man, I hadn't worn this gear yet, Pete. I just paid like $120 for this gear. It's my new custom United State of Indiana biker shorts. And I'm just like, oh, damn it.
And now they're a little jacked up.
Yeah. I'm like, oh man. In my head, I'm like, first thing I'm going to do when I get to the backside, I have to rinse these out. I beat him up for another few minutes. Eventually, it makes no sense. Scotty gets in the ring and starts beating him up too. Which leads to some music hitting, some really popular music like, Are You Ready? And then, boom, there's Steve for the save. So Steve comes through the curtain, and this is the craziest thing. Same thing with Paul. The second they walked through the curtain, it was like they were stone cold sober. They were legitimately 100% them. Their character was on point. It was perfect. And he storms the ring. Then the four of us fight, and we have like another 3-4 minute match or whatever. At some point, I ended up in the corner, and Steve's crotch is bouncing up and down my face. And then Dwayne gets kicked. I don't know if I took the Steve factor or if Scotty did. I don't know. But so the boom, whatever. 1, 2, 3, we lose. It's done. Interesting part about that story was though, is we were supposed to win. Like, we were scheduled to win. We were the champions, and this match was for the tag team championships.
Oh, you lost some belts?
So, right before we went out, I told the announcer, I was like, hey, man, please just say this is a non-title match. And the dude was like, why? I'm like, because we just barely talked with these guys before the match, and they were wasted, and they already went off on promoter today. And I'm not going to tell them they're supposed to lose to two dudes they don't know. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll take the responsibility for it. So we do the match, come back to the back. The right-hand man of the promoter comes up and he's like, hey, man, what happened with the finish? I was like, hey, dude, did you want to, like, you guys should have told them they were supposed to lose. Like, they were already wasted and gone off with people. I wasn't about to take that bullet. That's not my fight. It's not my hill to die on. Screw that. So I was like, I just wanted to get through the match unhurt and send the crowd home happy. And it was better. It made more sense that they won anyway.
Look, I was just here for Steve's crotch and my face. What happened before, after? I don't care, man.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Steve's been some weird places too. Like, he spent one night in several foreign countries. Ooh. And you know what? Maybe he doesn't have the cleanest panel either. So I was just like, you know what? I just want to get through this test without contracting something and without getting my neck broken. Is that too much to ask?
Actually, was it too much to ask?
It's a lot to ask. Especially in professional wrestling nowadays, it's a lot to ask. So we're back in the back, and then the two dudes come back through the curtain after celebrating. The crowd was going nuts. They were way into it. And the second they go back through the curtain, they practically like fall into each other to hold each other stand up because they're so wasted again. They come up to us, and they're the coolest dudes. They're like, oh man, thank you guys so much. It was great. And like, you guys are great.
Is this like that study high, test high mentality? Maybe they've just always wrestled wasted.
I guess. I mean, I've always heard these two dudes like recreational substance. So yeah, they might've been doing this for like 20, 25 years, and it's just normal. I mean, Steve, we just looked it up. He had a 30-year career.
I wonder if he sucks sober. If he can't hit a mark, if he doesn't know what he's doing.
Maybe not. I don't know. But like, yeah, he might have been a little wasted, and he went out there and it was easy as 1, 2, 3.
I hate you for saying that. You should hate yourself for saying that.
I don't know. Read into it however you want. So anyway, we get through all that. I'm like, you know what? Cool. We're getting paid. We got through the match. These dudes love us. They're cool. And that I think they've apologized for maybe like 1 or 2 things. I'm like, hey, it's fine, whatever. They're back to wasted. I don't even know if they changed their gear or if they just grabbed their gear bag and left so they could go join their other buddies and just keep the party going.
Party posse. Why would you change? People probably know you better in your gear.
That's true. And the one dude should have just left his face all bloody. Oh, by the way, I took my gear off immediately, scrubbed it all out in the sink, and the blood came out. Now I've worn that gear in many countries.
It'd be really funny if you had latex gloves in your bag for just this occasion.
That's a good idea, but it's already too late. It's already too late. I've already been exposed. I should have like is there a morning after, but like after act pill?
Oh.
Is there something I can take immediately after a match that would block?
If not, someone should start work on that. That would sell. You'd move units for sure.
Dude, especially in like a college town or something. Like take this right afterward and it blocks from every...
Yeah, it might keep your faucet from dripping after, man. Here, take 2 of these.
Holy cow. This is how we're going to get rich. We'll still do the podcast for fun, but that's how we're going to get rich.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't steal this, 7 listeners.
Well, that's why it's on the air. It's now our idea.
Okay, yeah, like a poor man's copyright.
Right, worldwide, man.
Cool. And then to wrap this story up, the next day, the right-hand man of the promoter gets online and starts tweeting and talking a bunch of like trash about the 2 performers we worked with, talking about how they were unprofessional and intoxicated all day and everything like that. Now, when the stooge, like promoter's right-hand man came up to me and was like, hey man, why didn't you guys lose? I was like, dude, they were this and that. Like I wasn't gonna stir the pot, right? So the last thing I wanted to hear was that he told them that we said that they were wasted because, dude, I don't get paid enough to deal with this drama. So the dude gets online, the right-hand man of the promoter, and he starts saying all this stuff like, oh yeah, you guys were wasted, unprofessional, and da-da-da. And then Steve comments back like, what are you talking about, man? We weren't wasted. And it's like, yeah, da-da-da. We went out and did what you were supposed to do and this and that and whatnot. So they're going back and forth for a while. And I'm like, man, I want to jump in on this, but I also don't want to get thrown under the bus and whatever. But I also want to just like stir it a little bit. So I just went ahead and sent out a tweet. I also wanted to brag that I just worked with these 2 dudes. So I was like, yeah, you know, a lot of things have been said about the show last night, but I just want to say it was a blast working with, you know,
Paul and Steve.
At Paul and at Steve and something like that. And then Ask Steve like responded back immediately and said something along the lines of, yeah, it was a pleasure, brother. You're really good. Hope I wasn't too intoxicated for you, winky face. And I was just like, yeah, you're my dude. Like I wanted him to walk away liking me, probably not remembering me, but liking me. And apparently it worked.
So you guys are bros now. You and Steve for life?
Yeah, I haven't seen him for years, but it'd be nice if he knew who I was now because I think he works backstage at WWE or he does like an agent thing. I don't know.
Just show him the tweet. Be like, hey, Steve, remember that time?
He's got a podcast too. You dude, I should just start tagging him in the pictures over and over. Hey man, remember this great match you had once? Get me a job.
Subtle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 32 now. There's no need for subtle. I don't have much time. Hey bro, sign me please.
Look, I've got, I don't know, 24, 36 months left in me. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. At the most. Like he wrestled till he was like 47, but am I going to make that far? Probably not.
Man, could you imagine doing indie shows until you're 47?
I don't want to. If I do an indie show after 40 and I haven't been signed to a major company, kill me. I don't want to be on the indies at 35 doing shows if I haven't done something huge. So my clock's ticking.
I thought you were about to get that contract, though.
I'm gonna be honest, I have a contract. It's not the contract.
Oh, I thought you were going to get whatever. I don't know how much of that you're willing to divulge.
Not that much. Story for another day.
Great.
All right, Pete, this has been our not intoxicated episode 27. Remember to follow at Off the Cliff Pod on all the social medias. But let's be honest, I don't post on them that much. Maybe Instagram sometimes. Follow that one. At Jake Owen 2012 and at Multimedia Hustle. That's Pete and that's me. And we'll be back next week.